that last camp was horrendous, you know. And I have no one to blame but myself. And I did blame myself, and I made the corrections. And thankfully, I have a strong team behind me that are pushing me and guiding me the right way. And I'm guiding myself is the main thing, you know. I'm listening to myself and I'm doing my work that I need to do, that I know I need to do.
To be honest, with Conor's fight IQ, with Conor's understanding of the game, really this training camp is about all of us getting out of his way. So provide him an environment where he can have different looks, different feels, and support him where he wants the training camp to go and intensities, and listening to him where he has days where he wants to push hard and days where he wants to slow down. So it's not so much about, you know, us coaches sitting down a game plan and then filling Conor in. Conor knows more about fighting than the rest of us put together.
So you guys can tell they're saying very different things.
Yeah. This
is Fight Companion. I'm Wesley.
I'm Alex.
And there's a big question right now that I've seen this narrative nowhere.
Yeah.
The maclife interviewed Kavanagh, the maclife interviewed McGregor. They're saying very different things about the camp leading up to Cowboy. And it makes me wonder, is there a rift between John Kavanagh and Conor McGregor?
I think there's a huge rift.
A huge rift?
Maybe not a huge rift, but there's definitely not like an animosity, like they hate each other, but I think an ideal of where Conor's career and trajectory is going. I think it's very, very clear from even the last words that Kavanagh said in that interview, which you guys can go watch on the maclife. He said,
"How does the clock work? I don't care. Let's just worry about what time it is."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said multiple times that, well, we'll see in January 20th, January 19th, where Conor McGregor is at. So I think
where's his head at?
He's holding his breath, right? Who is he going to see? Is he going to see the guy that knocked out Jose Aldo and then was able to get the 2 championship belts, or is he going to see the proper 12, you know, I'm going to hit a grandpa and all kinds of shit like that?
Post-Floyd.
Right.
Is he going to see post-Floyd Conor, or is it a real return to form? Because I think Kavanagh, he knows Conor better than we do, and he knows that the real test isn't after a loss. The real test is after a victory.
Yep.
Will he stay focused and keep on going? Because as much as people like to draw the parallels with like the Nate fight and coming back from that and winning, then going on to fight Eddie Alvarez, which was his best performance ever.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Which is weird when you consider he also flatlined Aldo in 7 seconds.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's a very different situation. Conor's not coming back to fight Khabib.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not this overarching long-term goal he's been working for years at this point. So it's really concerning just from a standpoint of like, where if Kavanagh is on such a different page than Conor, and that's only such a big deal to me because Conor specifically said, man, this camp, the reason I'm going to be better is my camp has been so much better.
Right.
I've surrounded myself with the right people who tell me the things that I need to hear.
And what did Kavanagh say?
We just listen to Conor.
We just listen to Conor, yeah.
So it's like Conor's whole point is like, I don't have yes men around me anymore. And then Kavanagh seems almost disinterested and almost like I thought he was bullshitting. To me, it sounded like Kavanagh was not really very involved with Conor's camp for Cowboy Cerrone. And now, is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? That is you can make the case for either one.
Right.
But it's just odd because nothing's been announced, right? It almost sounds to me like they were interviewing the owner of AT&T or ATT, American Top Team.
Yeah.
Like they were interviewing the owner of American Top Team about like, oh, you know, who's Colby Covington going to fight next, right?
Right.
That's not his head coach. It's someone who
owns
talks
the
to
gym.
him, who, you know, would be on the same page with overarching strategy. Because you'll notice, like, in the interview, Kavanagh was very on it. When they start to talk about, like, oh, what about April? Like, what's the plan for April, right?
I think it's very apparent that even maybe subconsciously, like, Conor could be saying, like, oh, I don't give a fuck about Khabib or anything like that. Like, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to give it to him. I think his main goal is to get back that win. And by the way, like, Kavanagh kind of, like, woke up every time April was mentioned. Every time April was mentioned, he was like, oh, Khabib or Tony.
Yeah.
You know, those are worthy opponents. That is what's going to cement Conor's legacy if he can beat either one of those two guys, especially Khabib, though. Well, Tony, too. I want to break my guy's heart. But like, that was what excited him.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think for selfish reasons too. Like, I mean, who gives a
He
fuck?
wants to get it back, too.
Exactly.
He's motivated for that
Right.
fight. And that's where I think that, is there a rift? Like you said, I don't think they hate each other. I don't think they're even mad at each other. I think that there's a lot of distance. I think that Conor is essentially operating his camp out of Kavanagh's facilities. Kavanagh might be the head coach in name. I don't think he's the head coach in practice.
At least not right now.
At least not right now. That might be a good thing for Conor. It might be a good thing for the Cerrone fight. We also don't know what their relationship is actually. That's the weirdest part.
Yeah.
Is like you'll hear Conor talk, and even before Khabib, like back, he'll talk like how Kavanagh is like the man. He's planning everything,
Right.
and it sounds incredibly regimented, and it sounds incredibly like Conor feels Kavanagh is laying out the schedule. This is the plan. We execute the plan. And then you hear Kavanagh talk, and even back then he's like, yeah, Conor just kind of shows up sometimes.
Right, exactly.
So I don't know if that's like, maybe that's an Irish thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe
Right.
Kavanagh is trying to be, maybe he perceives that as being humble.
Right.
And he's like, doesn't want to make himself the focus, and he wants to put the emphasis on Conor.
Right.
Or, like, that's what the issue is. But when you have a fighter who's been specifically criticized for how he approached and took fighting seriously,
Right.
he even criticized himself, and that's where he's pointing the blame, right?
Right.
He's basically saying, like, in the interview, I wasn't focused for the Khabib fight, my camp was atrocious. And why was the camp atrocious, Conor?
Because he wasn't focused.
And he said that.
Yes.
Like, now the fact that he said that, and then Kavanagh basically makes it sound like, oh, yeah, and Conor's just kind of doing whatever he wants this camp.
Right.
When he wants to go hard, when he wants to go soft, like,
Right.
Conor knows more about fighting than all of us, so
Yeah,
that's the line where I was like, what?
Well, like, what's
that's
going
not
on?
the same
Yeah.
page, because Conor's whole thesis was, I have people around me who are awesome. I have people around me who are guiding me correctly this time.
Right.
I've got a whole team that's building, we're working together. And Kavanagh was like, yeah, you know, Conor comes in and takes part of our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes occasionally, and he seems happy.
well,
and
and-
it's like,
And the thing is, this was a MacLife interview.
Yeah.
This should have been a home run. If they were even talking to each other,
Yeah.
this would have been easy for Kavanagh to say.
even if they just had a message, the issue is the message was not aligned whatsoever.
wasn't.
And that's why I don't think that they're talking. I think they're talking in broader pictures, or that they had a conversation like a month or two ago, and it was like, okay, what are our goals for the year?
Yeah.
And I feel like the conversation didn't go past that.
You know what's interesting is that I think their goals are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but how they get there and what actually happened in the fight are completely different.
Yeah.
Because when you talk, when at the end of the interview, Conor was talking about, you know, well, one of our other videos, we're going to talk about how delusional Conor was being. But the fact that he was saying, oh yeah, Khabib is scared and shit like that, and how he's going to get that win back. And then Kavanagh was like, if Conor is focused,
Yeah.
if Conor is ready, if Conor, then we'll get that win back. So they both want to get that win, but they're coming at it from two different perspectives.
We talked right after we watched the interview together, and then we were just kind of spitballing. And you said something I thought was really wise. Kavanagh seemed like somebody who's trying to emotionally protect himself from being disappointed again. You get a very sense that, like, he's very invested in Conor, but trying to keep some emotional distance because he's expected things of Conor before. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was after the Mayweather fight. He expected things of Conor after the Mayweather fight. And then he was disappointed
Right.
by what Conor's behavior was in the camp. And because of what Conor said too, that it was his own fault. He disappointed his whole camp and all his coaches. I think Kavanagh specifically was disappointed in how Conor was conducting himself during the Khabib training camp, and now Kavanagh doesn't actually not believe in Conor.
But trust.
I think he believes in Conor as a fighter more than anybody else in the world. I think that's very clear even in this interview.
Yep.
I don't think he trusts Conor.
Yes.
I don't think he trusts Conor to show up for the camps, to take the preparation and all aspects of the fights seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that what we're seeing here is like, he's emotionally distancing himself, so in case Conor doesn't do the preparations correctly, he for any of his fights, he doesn't feel as hurt by it. Because I think he was really hurt after.
Well, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, think about Kavanagh's whole entire career. You know, and
It's based on McGregor.
It's based on McGregor, right? Like
internationally, like, he's known for other stuff in Ireland, but not anywhere, like, not the rest of the world.
Right. But even like Gunnar Nelson or or the goat of MMA, you know,
Artem Lobov.
Artem Lobov, you know, like those are those three are his most famous fighters worldwide,
Yeah.
right? And all three of them are not performing very well
And Gunnar,
on a ground stage.
like Gunnar didn't really. I don't know if Gunnar's even really his fighter anymore.
Oh yeah, that too.
And so it's just I think there is a rift. I'm really curious if Kavanagh is going to be in McGregor's corner, and if he is in McGregor's corner, I'm going to be really curious who's talking to Conor in between rounds.
Yep.
Because I could see Kavanagh being in his corner almost to just prevent like speculation from the media and everything like that. Just because I don't think they want to go there.
Right.
But I'm really curious if Conor's talking to somebody else in between rounds and they're giving him the actual tactical advice.
Right.
And I would really not be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah.
And
We'll have to find out.
I don't think that that's necessarily bad for either guy, though.
Right.
This might be just the relationship blossoming, and like Kavanagh's more of like a guy who's like, hey, is your head on straight? But I'm not going to actually coach you.
Right.
Because if you actually, like, Conor seemed to have some resentment towards Kavanagh after the Khabib fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Kavanagh seemed to have some resentment towards Conor after the Khabib fight, but also seemed to have some regrets for how he managed the preparation for the Khabib fight.
Right.
So I think that this might actually be healthier for both guys.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens, y'all. I'm Wesley.
I'm Alex. If you disagree with us, please let us know down below. We are the biggest Conor dick riders. Just kidding. He is. I'm not. But we love you guys. Like and subscribe. All that bullshit. Thanks, guys.
I don't know if I love you guys. I might appreciate you, though.